Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today we show the game played by Valentyn and Bohdan, and this game complete in only 22 moves. And here the game ends with a very special move that the white play and win a pieces. And let's see how the game play. The game starts with the pawn to e4, d5, and now you have the Scandinavian Defence, and here the white just capture the pawn and the queen capture, and after this knight continue to develop and attack the queen, and in this position the white is slightly better. After this, queen back to the original position, queen d8, and now the white storm with the d4 pawn. Then the game continues with the knight to f6 and knight to f3, and then the bishop to g4. And here you have the first 5 move, and the white is clearly better in this position. And then the game continues with the pawn to h3 to attack the bishop that pinned the knight. And now the bishop just capture the knight, and then the queen capture it back. And here the white giving up a pawn, and if you use the queen to capture the pawn, then here the white will be winning, as the queen will capture the pawn and attack the rook, and will be checked the king at c8. For example, queen takes the pawn and be winning the rook, and here there's nothing you can prevent the rook to be safe. And if you move the queen back to original position, then the queen will just win the rook. So the pawn is not a free, and it's a poison pawn and cannot be captured. So after this, c6 was played, and now the white continue to develop bishop to e3, and then e6 was played, and now the white developed another bishop to d3, then the knight to b to d7 keep on to develop, and now the white go for short castling, and bishop d6 was played. So here is the first 10 move, and you can see that white is better in the position, and the game continue with the knight to d2, and this blue card indicate the critical path for the knight to play from knight c3 to e2 to g3, f5, and finally to h6. Then the game continue with the black go for short castling, and now c4 was played, and here the rook to e8, then rook f to d1, and after this the d5 was played, and now the pawn to e4 will be a strong threat attacking both the queen and the bishop. Therefore the knight to g3 to prevent the pawn from moving out, and now the pawn just capture the d4 pawn, then the bishop capture it back, and then the queen goes to c7 and trying to attack the knight and go for the check at h2. Then the knight goes to f5, keep on the attack, and with the idea to goes to h6 and check the king. And here the bishop check, then the king goes to h1, and this will be a piece play as the king will attack the bishop, and this queen is overguarded and need to guard the bishop and cannot move away from this diagonal. And also the white hoping to move the pawn to g3 and block the protection, and you're able to capture the bishop for free. And now the white is more active, and after this position the knight goes to e5, and here you come a very beautiful move with the knight h6 and check the king. And in this position, if you capture with the pawn, then the queen will capture it back, and here the white is clearly better in this position, and you also can bring the rook to the attack the knight, and here you have a very strong threat, and also can push the pawn to f4, and now the bishop can be captured. So in the actual game, they do not capture with the pawn, instead they move the king away, and now the queen to f5, bringing more pieces to attack the knight, and also can push the pawn to f4 and attack the knight, and also bring another rook into the action, and you have 4 pieces attacking the knight. And now if you capture the knight again, then the queen will capture the knight, and now the if you check and the king move up, then the queen will just capture the pawn, and now able to capture the pawn and will be winning. And here the white will be clearly winning. So in the actual game, after this move, rook, the knight takes the bishop, and here the rook capture it again and threatening to capture with the queen takes the knight and win the game. So in the actual game, after this move, the queen to f4 was played, and with the idea of capturing the knight. But this is a tactical blunder, as after this position, the white is clearly winning with the brilliant move of sacrifice. And after this move, the queen just capture the knight, and this is clearly winning a piece. And if the bishop just capture, then the queen will just capture, as the bishop is pinning the king. And after this position, the black resign the game, as he said, losing 1 piece in the exchange. And back to this position, if you capture the queen, and this will be a checkmate with the queen takes the pawn, and it will be a checkmate, and here the king cannot move to any place. And back to this position, if you use the pawn to capture the knight, then the queen will capture the rook, the knight, and now if the king come up, then you have a very simple checkmate with the queen at g7. So therefore the pawn cannot capture the knight, and if you move away the knight to prevent the attack, then you bring another rook to rook e1 and attack the knight, and also you can push the pawn to f3, and you have a multiple attack, and also you can block with the pawn, and this bishop can be captured freely. And in this position, the white is clearly have very active pieces to play and will be win the game. And with this, thank you for watching.